Hello class, my name is Randell Calma and I'm a student in HSCO 508, Interpersonal Communication, Liberty University. And today I'm presenting to you my interpersonal communications project. Quick overview, we'll be going over introduction, my overarching goals, background and behavior blends, solution to my barriers, noise pollution, plan of action, and my conclusion. Introduction. What is communication? It is the continuous, complex, collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal meaning and making. Communication functions as an identity or self in which we listen and talk through our facial expressions, tone of voice, and social roles. Next, what is interpersonal communication? This is the type or kind of communication that happens when people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the individual. The important point of interpersonal communication is how we listen and talk to each other. Another aspect to our interpersonal communication is our inhaling and exhaling. The term inhaling refers to perceiving and listening in our communication, and exhaling refers to the expression or disclosure of ourselves to other people. Overarching goals. My overarching goals in interpersonal communications are improving my listening and communication skills, and enhancing my self-disclosure. The impact of self-disclosure is very important. As Stewart states, healthy relationships are built on self-disclosure. And also, if you cannot reveal yourself, you cannot become close to others, and you cannot be valued by others for who you are. Through self-disclosure, we can identify common goals and interests. Next is my background. I'm a 26-year-old Filipino male, born in San Diego, California, grew up in Pensacola, Florida, married for 5 months. I'm a nuclear operator in the United States Air Force with 3 years of service, received my undergraduate degree at the University of West Florida in Bachelor of Science in Exercise Science, and currently I'm working on my Master's of Arts in Human Services, Health and Wellness. Behavior blend. The behavior blend is a combination of personality traits that are visualized in 4 temperament model of behavior, or the 4 DISC personality types. The DISC model vectors 4 personality types, which include number 1, D personality type, which is active and task oriented. Number 2 is I personality type, active and people oriented. Number 3 personality type is passive and task oriented. And number 4 is S personality type, which is passive and people-oriented. These temperament types explain how we think, feel, and act as individuals. After taking the Uniquely You report, it gave me 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph was, "This is expected of me, a steady, competent SC type." The second paragraph was, "This is me, a competent influencing specialist, CIS." The first paragraph stated that I'm a SE type. People expect me to be both submissive and competent. I tend to be very passive. I think people expect me to be more withdrawn as opposed to be outgoing. I am shyer than others. I'm not antisocial. I like people on an individual basis, and most people tend to regard me as a good friend, but I don't seek to be the center of attention. The second paragraph, "This is me, the CIS type. I tend to be more passive than active. I have strong people skills. I can be both outgoing and reserved. I generally like to influence and interact with people, but I can also withdraw and concentrate on specific projects. People tend to like my friendliness, enthusiasm, and cordiality." After taking the Uniquely You report, I took the Interpersonal Communication Skills test. And the purpose of this test was to determine how effective my communication was with others. Overall, I scored an 80 out of 100. It stated that my communication skills were excellent. In addition, my strengths included good communication skills, very insightful, I communicate clearly to others, I'm assertive when talking to others, and I'm comfortable dealing with emotions. Next, my potential barriers. A listening barrier exists when someone hears what he wants to hear, not what is really communicated. My examples of my barriers that I need to overcome are: number 1, self-disclosure, 2 is listening, 3 is talking, and number 4 is language. My first barrier is self-disclosure. According to Stewart, he describes self-disclosure as revealing to another person about how you perceive and are reacting to the present situation and giving any information about yourself and your past that is relevant to an understanding of a perception and reaction. How to overcome this barrier? Number 1, self-awareness. Be aware of who you are. Number 2 is self-acceptance, accepting yourself. And number 3 is trust, is taking the risk of trusting the other person to be accepting of you. My second barrier is listening. Listening involves a more sophisticated mental process than hearing. It demands energy and discipline. Listening is a learned skill. The first step is to realize that effective listening is an active process, not a passive process. And how do I overcome this barrier? Number 1 is listen to the underlying meaning, which helps build an understanding, trust, and rapport. Number 2 is maintain a conscious perspective. And number 3 is be attentive. Focus on the ideas of the talker. My third barrier is talking. According to Peterson, he mentions, when is it your turn to be the talker? We'll shift to your problem, that is, considering your concerns from your perspectives. And how do I overcome the talking barrier? Is number 1, share feeling and thoughts effectively. By doing so, we'll gain clarity about what we are thinking and feeling. And number 2 is emphasize ownership and openness in our communication. Again, by doing so, we're taking responsibility for our feelings and our thoughts that we share with other people. The fourth and final barrier that I need to work on is language. According to Burley Allen, he states that a language barrier is a negative affirmation that is expressed internally. If I want to overcome this barrier, I need to promote a positive self-talk, being motivated to change old habits. Number 2 is provide a supportive language, provide a positive reinforcement. And number 3 is self-awareness. We can learn who we are so we could reach our utmost potential. Next is internal noise pollution or internal distractions. According to Burley Allen, he states that internal distractions are things that people do internally to build barriers that prevent them from listening effectively. Some examples include positive or negative emotions, personal issues, and energy levels such as fatigue. And some solutions for internal noise pollution would be clarification and understanding. External noise pollution. External noise pollution are distractions that are around you that will interfere with your effective listening. Some examples include loud noises, such as traffic or machinery, room temperatures, too hot or too cold, interruptions, phone calls or conversations around you, and outside activity or scenery. The plan of action for my overarching goals include listen actively and energetically, reflect back to Dr. Peterson's talker listener card, so I will work on my listening skills, improve my self-esteem and self-confidence, be open-minded, ask for clarification, I'll take the initiative and resist external distractions, so I will sit where I can see and hear without being distracted.